Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Julie Chrisley wouldn't marry Todd? Savannah explains why. Savannah Chrisley opens up in her podcast, Unlocked, about why her mother, Julie Chrisley, took so long to marry her father, Todd Chrisley. The married couple are both currently in prison serving separate sentences for tax fraud. Savannah Chrisley has full custody over her little brother Grayson, 17, and her niece Chloe, 10. She is doing a great job with them, even though she admits it isn't easy. Julie Chrisley says no. Todd Chrisley has been married once before his current marriage with Julie. He even had 2 kids in the marriage, Lindsay, 33, and Kyle, 32. So Julie had her reasons to be hesitant about jumping into a marriage with Todd. Julie Chrisley also made it very clear that she did not need Todd's help with the baby and would be just fine on her own. Fans think she just did not want Todd to feel like he had to marry her just because they had gotten pregnant with Chase. Savannah Chrisley talks about it in her podcast. Fans applauded the mother for being a strong, independent woman. Savannah added that he even asked Julie to marry him twice and said, "And now, look at him, 27 years later." Viewers do have reason to believe that her being pregnant had something to do with the two getting married. Todd and Julie got married on May 25, 1996, and Chase was born just days after on June 1, 1996. Julie was a preacher's daughter, so she maybe did not want to have a baby out of wedlock. Is Savannah Chrisley scared for marriage? Savannah, it seems, has started to question love and marriage after all. E2 reported that she even feels marriage is scarier than having kids. Savannah was previously engaged to Nick Curtiles, but the two split. Also, Savannah's brother Chase Chrisley is engaged to a beautiful woman he loves, Emmy Metters. Maybe if she sees Chase have a successful marriage, then she will be more open to the idea. The podcast host described to fans that when taking care of kids, you had to get them from one place to another, and it was more of your responsibility. She spoke about marriage in a different sense. The Chrisley family has always lived under a magnifying glass, every laugh and every tear broadcast to millions of fans who felt like they knew them personally. But beneath the glossy reality TV veneer, there were whispers, doubts, and truths only the family themselves could truly understand. Savannah Chrisley, who has made it her mission to defend her parents during their incarceration, recently opened up in a surprising interview. She didn't mince words, revealing that her mother Julie once considered not marrying Todd at all. The shocking revelation left many fans stunned, but for Savannah, it was a story worth telling, not as gossip, but as proof of her mother's strength, her father's persistence, and the complicated love story that made the Chrisleys who they are. The early days, a different Julie. People think Mom's always been this picture-perfect Southern wife who knew exactly what she wanted, Savannah explained. But the truth is, she was hesitant when it came to Dad. Before Todd, Julie Hughes had lived a quieter life in South Carolina, raised in a strict, faith-centered family. She was shy, soft-spoken, and not someone who enjoyed the spotlight. Enter Todd Chrisley, a whirlwind of ambition, charm, and that trademark sharp tongue. He pursued Julie with the same determination he later showed in business, reality TV, and life itself. Mom wasn't sure she could handle him, Savannah laughed. She used to tell me that Dad was like a storm. You either learned to dance in the rain or you got swept away. Julie, according to Savannah, initially resisted. She loved Todd's energy but feared being consumed by it. She told me once she almost walked away before the wedding, Savannah shared. She was scared of how big his personality was, and whether there would be room for her voice in that kind of marriage. Todd's relentless charm. If there was one thing Todd Chrisley was never accused of, it was lacking confidence. Savannah described her father's courtship as both over-the-top flowers, and endearing. Savannah said, "He'd show up with entire arrangements, handwritten letters, and he'd call her 3 times a day. He wasn't going to let Mom slip away." But Todd's intensity wasn't always a comfort. Julie, who valued privacy and modesty, wasn't sure she could keep up. She worried she'd lose herself in his world. Savannah noted, Still, Todd had a way of making Julie feel like she was the center of the universe. He used to say, "Julie, I'll build a life so bright you won't ever regret choosing me." And honestly, he did. Why Julie almost said no. Savannah explained that Julie's hesitation wasn't about love. She adored Todd. It was about fear. Mom grew up in a very traditional, small-town family. Dad was bold, ambitious, and had these big dreams. He wanted to conquer the world. That terrified her, Savannah said. She worried that marrying him meant stepping into a life of constant chaos and risk. And as it turned out, Julie wasn't entirely wrong. The years that followed brought both luxury and scandal, love and heartbreak, and the spotlight of reality TV. There were nights Mom would ask herself if she'd made the right choice. Savannah admitted. Not because she didn't love Dad, but because their life was never simple. It was always one extreme or the other. The turning point. So why did Julie say yes, despite her fears? According to Savannah, it was because Todd made her feel seen. Mom always said that Dad was the only person who really understood her, Savannah explained. Even when they fought, even when she wanted to run, he knew her heart better than anyone. One story Savannah recalled came from the night before the wedding. Mom told me she sat alone in her room, praying, asking God if she was making a mistake. She said she felt this overwhelming peace, like God was telling her, "This is the man I made for you. He won't be easy, but he's yours." That's when she knew. The aftermath of saying yes. For years, Julie stood beside Todd through thick and thin. They raised children, built businesses, faced lawsuits, and ultimately endured the devastating outcome of their prison sentences. People see Mom as quiet and reserved, but she's stronger than anyone knows, Savannah insisted. She chose Dad knowing he wasn't going to be the easy choice, and that's what makes her love even more powerful. Savannah admitted that sometimes she's grateful her mother didn't walk away. If Mom hadn't married Dad, none of us kids would be here. Our family wouldn't exist. And say what you want about us. We're loud, messy, and sometimes scandalous, but we love each other fiercely. The lessons for Savannah. For Savannah, watching her parents' marriage taught her what she wants and doesn't want in her own relationships. Mom showed me that love isn't about perfection. It's about choosing someone every single day, even when they drive you crazy, she reflected. But she also taught me that you have to keep your own voice. She never let Dad completely steamroll her, even when it would have been easier. That balance, Savannah said, is why her parents lasted as long as they did. They challenged each other, but they also lifted each other up. Mom gave Dad stability, and Dad gave Mom adventure. Today, a complicated love story. Now, with Todd and Julie serving their sentences, the Chrisley family story has taken a darker turn. But Savannah insists her parents' bond is unshakable. People wonder if Mom regrets marrying Dad now. With everything that's happened, Savannah said softly, she doesn't. She still tells me she'd choose him again, even knowing how hard it's been. According to Savannah, Julie believes love isn't about having an easy life. It's about walking through the storm together. She always says, "If I'd wanted simple, I wouldn't have chosen Todd. But I wanted extraordinary." Why the story matters. Savannah chose to share this part of her family's history, not to stir gossip, but to remind people that behind the TV show and tabloid headlines, her parents are real people who faced real choices. "I think fans look at Mom and Dad and forget they're human," Savannah explained. They've had doubts, fights, and regrets just like anyone else. But they also had this undeniable connection that carried them through. To Savannah, Julie's decision not to walk away shaped everything. If Mom hadn't married Dad, she would have had a safe, quiet life in South Carolina. Instead, she chose chaos, love, laughter, and us kids. I'm grateful every day she said yes, even if she almost didn't. Closing reflection. Savannah leaned back as she finished telling the story, her eyes bright with both pride and sadness. At the end of the day, Mom didn't marry Dad because it was easy. She married him because it was worth it. That's what I hold on to when things feel impossible now.